There was a 10-year-old boy out of Dayton, Ohio, by the name of Takoda Collins, which is spelled Takoda. Collins, spelled traditionally. Let me see if I can get his face on the screen so you guys can see the little boy that I'm talking about right there. Y'all look at that face and tell me, what do you guys think that little boy did wrong in his life? Because in my opinion, that smile is gold, and that little boy looked like he would not harm a single thing on this earth. That beautiful little boy right there, his name is Takoda Collins, and I'm going to tell you guys some details about him. He was beaten. He was locked in a dark attic inside of his house at the very top of that raggedy, nasty, filthy, stinky, dilapidated looking house right there. Let's go back right there. Okay. He was locked in that dark attic and he was stripped naked. No clothes. Not only is that bad enough, but he was made to stand bent over and cross-legged for long periods of time in what police say is an extreme child abuse case that ended with his death because he was beaten quite a bit. Now, on Monday, Takoda Collins' father, let me see if I can get his stupid face back up on the screen real quick. This man is his biological father right here. That is the biological father. And I'm going to reiterate that because as much as I get onto the mothers, that's the father. And what he did to his son was absolutely unspeakable. His name is Al-Mutahan. What? I don't know what kind of name that is. Al-Mutahan. Maybe somebody out there can correct me how you pronounce that name. But Al-Mutahan McLean is 30 years old. Excuse me. And he was indicted in Montgomery County Common Pleas Court with counts of, I'm warning you guys, it's going to be tough to hear. So if you're not able to deal with it, you know what you can do. You can leave the channel. But for everybody that wants to hear it, I'm going to just tell you guys what he's charged with. 2 counts of felonious assault, serious harm. 1 count of endangering children, parents, serious harm. 1 count of endangering children, serious physical harm. 1 count of endangering children, torture, serious harm. 1 count of endangering children, corporal punishment, serious harm. Last, but certainly not least, 1 count of rape of a child under 13 years old by force. Those are all the charges just on the father alone. I hope y'all heard me, because I really didn't want to have to repeat that again. 2 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of endangering children, another count of endangering children, another count of endangering children, another count of endangering children, and 1 count of rape of a child under 13 years of age by force. I'm going to tell you guys something, and thank you for that Babies for Benefits, Diane. Thank you, because we are going to talk about that. Now, let me go ahead and move these pictures forward. A lot of people might not be familiar with this statistic. In America, boys are raped at a higher rate than girls are. How many of y'all knew that? I'm sure a lot of you always think that, oh, it's just the girls, and the girls are, you know, the most innocent, most taken advantage of people on this planet. Well, a lot of people will be surprised to hear that boys are raped at a higher rate than girls are. Isn't that crazy? Not only should it not happen at all, I don't want any kids to go through this at all. But the fact remains that the group of us that is forgotten about, the group of us that is not cared about as much as I think that it should be, the men and the boys, are taken advantage of more than most people know. So guess what? When you ladies get a hold of a man and wonder why this man doesn't know how to be a man, because he doesn't have a father, because he doesn't have a sense of worth about himself, because he has very low self-esteem, and because he was taken advantage of, and then we wonder, and then they grow up into this world, and then we wonder why they grow up to do heinous things, and why they're just like, well, wow, why did he do this horrible thing? Because of his upbringing and the stuff that he went through. Well, I'm dropping stuff. And I don't know what I just dropped. Yes, I do. Hope I didn't break nothing. But a lot of people wonder why they end up growing up to do these wild and crazy things, okay? But they all come from someplace. And it seems like in court, the girls get a whole lot of sympathy about something that they went through. And shout out to my brother Relationship Rehab, who talked about that last night on his show about the R. Kelly situation. R. Kelly was a victim of sexual abuse. And now people are saying, well, he's wrong for doing sexual abuse, supposedly, because they haven't charged it criminally just yet. But I'm throwing that out there to point out a bigger problem. The fact that this thing starts at the foundation. So we have to fix the foundation first if we're going to look forward and be like, this is how we're going to judge people. And I think we need to start judging people fairly. Let's move forward. His next date in court is going to be on December 31st, which is here in just a few days. Let's move on with the story because it's a lot. Montgomery prosecutor Matt Heck Jr. said that the 4 counts of endangering include designations of torture. Meanwhile, 2 women, let me get their face back up on the screen for you guys so y'all can see these heinous looking, pasty face, fat, overweight, nasty looking chicks on my screen right here. These 2 women lived in this home, and I believe that they probably participated and definitely facilitated, but they kicked back and they watched. These 2 women lived in the home. One's name is Amanda Hinze, which is spelled Hinze, 28 years old. Jennifer Ebert, not to be confused with Siskel, 24 years old, are charged in Dayton Municipal Court with endangering children. So he was able to get these 2 chicks to participate in this bull crap. Or it could be vice versa. We don't know. But nonetheless, it's his child. It's his responsibility. Okay? All 3 have pleaded not guilty to the charges and are being held in Montgomery County Jail on $1 million bond. Y'all hear me? $1 million. Rightfully so. None of the defendants have attorneys listed in their case, and an attempt to reach the defendants for an interview in jail was unsuccessful. Now, Dayton police say that they began their investigation on December the 13th when they were called to a house on the 1900 block of Kensington Drive by McLean because the little boy, baby Takoda Collins, was unresponsive, according to an affidavit and statements of facts filed in the case against McLean. So for the people that say that I don't have my facts and my information right, well, that's where I'm getting it from. Those are actual documents that are going into the court as proof. So stop telling me I don't have my facts right. Let's keep going. Takoda was observed to have multiple cuts and bruises all over his body. The court document says, not DJ's words. Takoda was removed to Children's Hospital and pronounced dead. Upon exams of Takoda, it was observed that he had bruising to his head. Through interviews with McLean and 2 other people that lived in the house, the affidavit says law enforcement learned that there was an extreme amount of abuse for an extended amount of time inflicted by the biological father, McLean. The little boy Takoda was locked in an attic, naked, with no access to the outside world or other people for an extended amount of time, says in the affidavit. The 10-year-old boy, as y'all can see his face right there, and y'all look at that face as we talked about this. Yes, they are accusing him of raping his own son. I don't understand this. Now, here's where it's going to get worse, because if you're eating, I'm going to tell you, you might want to pause the video. Let me know y'all heard me. We got 213 people. I'm hoping that we can get 213 thumbs up for that little boy right there. Imagine what he suffered through. That little boy had something to offer this world, and he was robbed of it by his own damn father. That little boy right there. So make sure you guys click that thumbs up. Takoda was locked in an attic naked with no clothes, no access to the outside world or other people for an extended amount of time. And I'm going to tell you guys, this next bit of information is about to get very bad. Hashtag, where's the biological mother? Same way we do in the father cases. We want to know where the biological mother is. How did this even get to this point? I'm going to let the pictures roll. The 10-year-old boy, Takoda Collins, was also reportedly eating his own feces and was forced to drink large amounts of water and possibly held underwater prior to him dying. According to the affidavit, not according to my words. I'm not going to read that again, but y'all heard what I just said. It's disgusting. In a statement of facts filed in the cases against Hines and Ebert, police said that the women allowed the abuse and at times reported to McLean if Takoda was not doing what he was supposed to do, standing there with his legs crossed and bent over for an extended amount of time. Isn't that something? So he was starved out. Again, another case of fat people starving out kids. Yes, I have a problem with fat people, especially when they do stuff like this. Because it is the ultimate hypocrisy when you sit there and you can eat and gorge as much as you want. You can swell up and get as big as much as you want. But for a kid that can't speak for themselves or a kid that can defend themselves against the tyranny of their caretakers, y'all starve that little boy and abused him and raped him. We're going to talk about that screenshot here in a moment, okay? The affidavit says that the women knew about the reporting this to McLean that would result in a beating and that none of the parties attempted to get the boy help during the years of abuse. Now, Heck said in a statement that Hines is McLean's girlfriend and Ebert is Hines' sister. So these are two sisters and one of them being the girlfriend. I don't even care which one is which. They're two fat, nasty, ugly-looking chicks. I don't really give a shit. Okay? The next court date against the women is not set as of Monday afternoon. Kelly Sandoval, the grandmother, says she tried to get custody of the boy after he was taken from his mother and put in a foster home. Where are all the people that ask, where's the mother? Uh-oh. The grandmother tried to get custody of the boy after he was taken from his mother and put in foster care. How about that? So y'all ask where the biological mother is. She lost custody. So what does that mean? Not only does that mean that the biological mother is a crappy mother, but that also further means that everybody around this child, everybody around Takoda failed him. Every single person. Everybody failed him. The grandmother tried to get custody of the boy after he was taken from his mom, put in foster care, but she was denied custody because she was already raising other children in her family. I don't understand what else do you want a grandmother to do? She was going to take on more kids even though she didn't have room. Shout out to the grandmother. She did all she could do, okay? Now, she visited the boy often and took him on day trips regularly until he was placed with his biological father, who ended up killing him, who moved him to Ohio. The grandmother, Sandoval, said her daughter tried to keep in touch with the boy, but the biological father, McLean, refused to allow much contact. Sandoval said herself she wasn't allowed to see him or speak to him since 2013. Here's a previous report, and then we're going to go ahead and show you guys the news videos. The call for assistance last week isn't the first time police were called to the Kensington Drive home. Records obtained by the Dayton Daily News shows that Dayton police investigated a different child running away from McLean's home. So apparently they had more kids at the home. Let's go ahead and let the pictures roll. The 2016 report says McLean alerted police that his then 9-year-old child was missing. The child had recently relocated to McLean's home because of behavioral problems while living with his mom, and that the child had an incident at school where he was disrespectful to his teacher. The police say that the child could also have ADHD and could be autistic. When officers located the boy, he told the police he wanted to move back at home with his mom. Wow. And they quote this way: "The boy advised that when he ran away from his residence due to being punished for an incident that occurred at school, he stated that he was having trouble with math problems and had refused to complete the work. The boy stated that he told his teacher he wasn't going to do the work. The boy that his father punished him by having him hold a book bag that had been filled with books, and he stated that he had to hold the bags and complete squats. When McLean arrived at the scene, he told police that the boy's punishment was to stand in the corner, so he lied. The child also told police that the father, McLean, watched the children with cameras inside the home and outside the home. The father, McLean, told police the cameras were for show and didn't record. The reports say that the officer contacted Montgomery County Children's Services and made contact with a woman who works there. I relayed her the incident that had occurred on this date and the statements that were made to us by all parties. And Montgomery County Children's Services spokesman Kevin Lavoie said that the agency's records are confidential and said that the agency did not have an open case from the Kensington Drive home at the time of Takoda's death. Since then, the agency has an open case at the Kensington address. Lavoie said that the office is ensuring the safety of a 3-year-old who lived in the home at the time of the 10-year-old's death, but Lavoie said he could not elaborate. So they did have other kids there. Let's go ahead and get this fair use going, and I'll go ahead and show you guys the couple of news videos. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
3 people are in jail facing child endangerment charges after a 10-year-old boy dies in Dayton. Prosecutors say that boy was tortured. Thanks for joining us. I'm Adam Merrill. Megan has the night off. Dayton 24/7 Now's Molly Reed was in court today for their arraignment. She brings us the latest on this investigation.
Well, Adam, the father of the child, Al-Mutahan McLean, was indicted on 7 felony charges, including endangering children, felonious assault, and rape. The other 2 women who lived at the home each face 4 counts of endangering children. Now, I've been combing through the criminal complaint all day and want to warn you, some of the details are disturbing.
How can you be so emotional? I mean, it's just...
It's a case that has neighbors like Karen Myers on Kensington Drive in tears.
Never seen him. Never knew. Never once.
Al-Mutahan McLean, his girlfriend Amanda Hines, and her sister Jennifer Ebert are in jail now after 10-year-old Takoda Collins was pronounced dead last week. Court records say McLean, the father, called 911 after the child was found unresponsive at their home. They say Collins was subjected to extreme abuse and was locked in a dark, filthy attic while naked over the course of several years. The records also say Ebert and Hines would report to McLean if the child wasn't doing what he was supposed to, standing with his legs crossed and bent for extended periods of time. It says the women knew reporting it would result in McLean beating the child.
The day after, the ladies were carrying out a bunch of trash, and detectives was here right on it.
The records say the child was possibly held underwater prior to dying.
There's a little window in that attic where he stayed. Never seen nobody, no little face up there. I mean, I would have called somebody.
Dayton 24/7 Now interviewed McLean back in 2016. He was complaining that Dayton public school buses were late dropping his kids off.
I'm not receiving a phone call. I don't know about their welfare.
Myers says she never saw children at the home.
And my kids and grandkids would have done made friends with this child if he was there. I mean, if they seen him.
All 3 of their bonds have been set at $1 million. McLean's case was bound over to the grand jury. All 3 will also be in court again next week. Adam?
Tracing your roots has exploded in popularity over the years, and now the price to do so may explode.
I'm going to give you guys my closing thoughts again. He has a court date coming up here on December the 31st. There isn't a court date listed as of yet for Amanda Hines and Jennifer Ebert, who are 28 years old, 24 years old, and 30 years old, respectively. I mean, I look at this boy, and it seems like they squeezed out every little bit of life that they could to try to take benefits from him. His biological mother failed him and ended up in what do you call it? Foster care. His biological father was awarded custody because I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not dumb, and I know that it is a risk to reach out to the other parent. But normally if the mother loses custody, I always say that maybe they should give the fathers a chance. I've always said that the fathers should get a chance. But when they get chances, this type of thing cannot happen. Okay? Because it's going to set us way back. Every time this type of thing happens, it sets us way back as far as men and fathers out here fighting for fathers' rights, okay? So I hope that they give each one of them life in prison. But y'all know that they're not going to give those women, because they generally don't give women life in prison. But I think that they've earned it. They deserve it because they watched this happen and even, in a sense, participated in it. This little boy cannot speak for himself. He cannot defend himself against the tyranny of all of his caretakers, and he stood a better chance of being in his grandmother's presence. And I really wish that she would have somehow been able to get custody of him, but there's only so much she can do, okay? I want to wish an RIP to Takoda Collins. He was only 10 years old. He didn't even get a chance to see his 11th birthday. We have to take parenting seriously, and we have to absolutely take better care of our children. Stop physically disciplining your children and stop making excuses to discipline your children in a physical way. I'm telling all of you guys that. I've been preaching on that all year long. We've only got a few more days left in this year. I'm begging you guys, if you feel the need to get physical with your kid, email me. I will send you tips. I will try to help you. Stop beating your kids. Love your kids. Give them respect, and respect will reciprocate.